Hello, everyone. Welcome to LOCKBEARD Phenomena number 87, Ghosts of the Tower. I don't know how many people got notifications, stuff like that. I sent email to the email list, but it was very, very last minute. And because the primary channel just got another strike, so it's going to be down for 2 weeks. So we're going to be over here on the backup channel because YouTube sucks. It's Saturday, May 6th, 2023. I see Angel and Lady are here 2 days in a row, she says. Well, it's, yeah, but Phenomena is always Saturdays at 6 p.m. Central. So you always know this is going to be on at 6 Central, unless there's something like I kind of took a break for a little bit during this past winter, but yeah, usually always at 6 p.m. Central Time on Saturday. And I don't know if things improve financially, and I'm able to, and I have the time, and where I can make it where it's a regular time all the time, 5 days a week or whatever. But it's just not really feasible the way things are right now. So, wouldn't mind it getting that way, but it's just, things cost money. And I had an extraordinarily hard time even getting on live tonight because of technical difficulties again. Which there will be more of those for sure because it's summer and the heat. The computer doesn't like the heat, so it may break, and if it breaks, we're done. If the computer breaks, we're done. I can't afford to get a new computer. So just a warning. If I disappear, that might be why. The other reason would be why is if YouTube shuts down this channel, this backup channel as well, because the primary channel is suspended for 2 weeks, and this channel, if it gets another strike, it's a permanent deletion. Channel's done. It's not coming back. So yeah. And I don't know what the hell they're talking about. They said medical misinformation. We weren't talking misinformation. Well, one, the quotes from that PsyOps guy, those quotes come from a channel that's on YouTube, so it should be fine. He verbally said those words on that channel. And then two, the other one about Trudeau, that's about how he handled lockdowns. It has nothing to do with the efficacy of the jab or anything like that. It was just about how he handled lockdowns. Lady says, just finishing up supper. Gotta corral the monsters and then find a keyboard. Cool. That's why he's hovering. Old Soldier's here. He says, hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome, Old Soldier. Yeah, we're back over on the backup channel for 2 weeks. And yeah. So where's Mr. Lee at? He's late. He's going to miss everything. me see if I can pull up. I assume everybody recognizes the tower in the picture, if not the lady on the thumbnail. But some ghost talk, and I guess we can speculate as to how many cases did people, were they mistaken as to what they saw, or is there something real there? Did they see a legit ghost? So it's possible. This is from an article on walks.com. The 13 Ghosts of the Tower of London. About a month ago, this is posted. What is the Tower of London? Standing majestically on the north bank of the River Thames in the city of London, the Tower of London houses centuries of history within its stone walls. Today, it's known as the place to see beefeaters, yeoman warders, and the crown jewels. Not just a crown, by the way, there's the orb and scepter too. Built by William the Conqueror in the 11th century to defend and secure his status as King of England, the Tower of London became not only a magnificent fortress, but a royal palace too. It also became the backdrop for some of the grisliest scenes in history. In Tudor times, it saw the execution of 3 English queens, Anne Boleyn, Catherine Howard, and Lady Jane Grey. A mother beheaded for the sins of her son. The supposed murder of the 2 young princes locked up in the Bloody Tower by their uncle, the Duke of Gloucester. Treason, murder, and execution. The stone walls of the Tower of London have seen it all. Little wonder, then, that it is one of the most haunted places in all of Great Britain. It is true that the ghosts of the Tower of London are haunted by the spirits of people who died there. That sentence doesn't make enough sense to me, but whatever. Who can be sure? But these are the tales of those very people who met decidedly grisly ends in the tower. Here are the 13 ghosts of the Tower of London in all their gory glory. Guy Fawkes was taken to the Tower of London after his part in a plot to assassinate James I at Parliament in 1605. Imprisoned in the Queen's house, Guy Fawkes was subjected to intense torture, likely on the rack in the White Tower dungeons. Can you hear his screams? Anne Boleyn's procession. As ghost stories go, there are few as spooky and as tragic as this one, when Henry VIII broke with the Roman Catholic Church to set aside his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, and become the supreme head of his new church, the Church of England. Anne Boleyn became Henry's second wife. Just 3 years later, Anne was accused of adultery and taken as prisoner by bards along the River Thames to the Tower of London through the infamous Traitor's Gate. Anne was beheaded on Tower Green and laid to rest in the Chapel Royal of St. Peter ad Vincula, St. Peter in Chains, the parish church of the Tower of London. Some 340 years later, a soldier reported seeing a light burning in the closed chapel. After climbing to the window to look within, the soldier is said to have seen a procession of knights and ladies led by a headless Anne Boleyn. And why that jumped, I don't know. Cooperate, shall we? Henry VI, imprisoned in the Wakefield Tower of the Tower of London. Henry VI was murdered at the altar of the king's private chapel in 1471, close to midnight. Henry's ghost is believed to haunt the Wakefield Tower, appearing at the stroke of midnight. The ghost of a bear. Henry III housed his menagerie of wild animals at the Tower of London, including a gift of either lions or leopards from the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II in 1235, pumas, tigers, jackals, an elephant from France, and even a polar bear were to follow. Visitors came to the tower to see the creatures, with bear baiting going on to become a popular pastime in 16th and 17th century London. And it seems the horrors of this pastime are still heard today. The ghost of a bear is said to appear from behind the door of the jewel room, perhaps a specter guard to the crown jewels. The ghost of a black bear is also reported to have appeared near the Martin Tower in 1816. Sir Walter Raleigh was sent to the tower no less than 3 times. Explorer Sir Walter Raleigh was imprisoned by both Elizabeth I and James I. He spent over 13 years in the Bloody Tower during one confinement and attempted suicide. Sir Walter Raleigh's last imprisonment at the Tower of London in the Beauchamp Tower took place in 1603 before he was beheaded outside the Palace of Westminster. The Faceless Young Woman. In 1957, Welsh Guardsman Johns was on sentry duty at the Salt Tower. He encountered a shapeless form with the face of a young woman, perhaps one of the many women who suffered a terrible fate at the Tower of London. Margaret Pole. Like Anne Boleyn, the beheading of Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury, took place on Tower Green, which lies to the west of the White Tower. Margaret Pole was 67 at the time of her death. She was brought to the scaffold by Henry VIII for the crime of being the mother of Cardinal Pole. Cardinal Pole's crime was opposing Henry's self-created position as supreme head of the Church of England. Eyewitnesses say the executioner on that fateful day in 1541 was a wretched and blundering youth who, unable to perform a clean execution with his axe, instead hacked at Margaret Pole's head and shoulders. That eternal scream echoes through the towers today. There's slightly different versions of the story about her taunting him, saying you can't, you try ducking out of the way, making him work for it, and taunting him. I don't know exactly which story is correct, but either way, she lost her head. The White Figure. The Tower of London is protected by the yeoman warders nicknamed Beefeaters. In 1864, Captain J. Dundas observed a yeoman attempting to charge a whitest female figure with his bayonet. Chillingly, this apparition appeared in the courtyard where Anne Boleyn was beheaded. Lady Jane Grey became queen after the death of King Edward VI, son of King Henry VIII. She's known as the English queen with the shortest reign, a mere 9 days. Edward named Lady Jane Grey as his heir in his last will, over his half-sister Mary. A pawn in royal power games, the king's protector, John Dudley, had arranged for the 16-year-old Lady Jane Grey to marry his son, Lord Guildford Dudley. On Edward's death on 6th July 1553, Protestant Lady Jane Grey became queen, a title she was to hold for just over a week before the council decreed that Catholic Mary was the true ruler of England. Lady Jane Grey and her husband Dudley were executed on the infamous Tower Green in 1554. The white figure of Jane is said to haunt the battlements of the Tower of London to this day. The monk's footsteps. If you visit the Tower of London, listen out for the sound of sandals slapping against the stone floors, reported to be from the steps of a ghostly monk. 11. Arbella Stewart. An oft-repeated ghost sighting at the Tower of London is that of Arbella Stewart, cousin to Elizabeth I. Arbella was imprisoned by James I for marrying William Seymour, nephew of Lady Jane Grey, without royal consent. Seeing this match as a possible threat to his throne, James placed Arbella under arrest at the Tower, where she either refused to eat or was purportedly or purposely starved. Arbella's ghost is thought to stalk the Queen's house. The young princes. On the death of Edward IV, Edward's young son, 12-year-old Edward, became King Edward V under the protection of his uncle, the Duke of Gloucester. Wanting to take the crown himself, the Duke of Gloucester imprisoned Edward and his young brother Richard in the Tower of London. Their mother, Elizabeth Woodville, took sanctuary at Westminster Abbey. After declaring young Edward illegitimate, the Duke of Gloucester became King Richard III. Edward and Richard were never seen again, believed to be murdered at the order of their uncle. The bones of 2 children were later found beneath a staircase in the Tower of London. The Nameless Thing. Lastly, the Nameless Thing is a petrifying spirit which follows the guards of the tower. As they walk, they beat from the River Thames Sally Portal entrance. A terrifying tourist attraction since the 18th century, the Tower of London has been a tourist attraction. Whoops, they repeat that, but since the 18th century, so you can experience the chilling atmosphere of the tower yourself, or better yet, on a Tower Walks tour, where our expert guides will reveal even more chilling tales of the ghost of London. Written by Kelly and Pippa. Do you see a resemblance at all? Countess of Salisbury may be an ancestor of mine. See where we is in the chat. Where's Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee is going to miss everything. Yes, he is. Sleeping Beauty's here. Killed her. Yeah. This kind of shenanigans has been going on for a long time. And it's not acceptable. The royal lineage, they should not be just destroyed all the time. They probably do not put enough value on it to where they're not executing royals all the time, because they're not truly royals. They stole those positions, which, okay, it depends on who to some extent it may depend on who you ask and who you ask and whose rules you're following, who is an actual royal. In the Eternus Empire, these people are not the true royals. Some of them may be after examination, some of them may be recognized as such eventually, but it's really pointless at this point because, you know, the ones that are alive today are what really matters, and they are not true royals. They have to earn that, and they haven't earned nothing. But a real properly functioning monarchy protects the royal bloodlines, because they're if they've been managed correctly, then it's not something you just toss away so easily. You don't execute royals unless something really, really bad has happened. First queen publicly beheaded. Simbi, one of them wasn't a virgin at marriage, so when he found out, she was murdered too. Mr. Lee's here. You didn't miss everything, Mr. Lee, but there was a possibility. Well, welcome to the chat, Mr. Lee. My favorite yet? Mini Ghost in London, yes. Yep. Sleeping Beauty says, okay, this is my family. I'm King Edward 16th great-grandfather. I am King Edward 16th, the great-grandfather. What? You're a great-grandfather of King Edward the 16th? Mr. Lee says the River Thames is pronounced. Yeah, I never can make myself do that right, Mr. Lee. Thames. Yeah. You gotta get me pronouncing it right. Because in America, that says Thames. It's spelled Thames. Mr. Lee says many old relics and antiques dumped in the River Thames, a lot washed up across the shoreline at low tide, especially exotic pipes and coins. Lady says, how interesting, Mr. Lee, the historical artifacts being found. Yeah. Can't type, never mind. You can type, just do it. Just do it. So are any of these ghosts real? You know, the government has to know, you know, that they are real, and you can get rid of them. You can get rid of them, but you know, a lot of people, you know, the ghosts are a tourist attraction, so so that may be why, but because you can get rid of, you can drive off ghosts, but if it's a tourist attraction, you want those sightings to occur sometimes, and so you wouldn't do it, even if you know that you can get rid of them. Mr. Lee says there is tube channels devoted to mudlarking the Thames. Old lady in the woods. You suggest Nicola White Mudlark. I figured they would have some environmental regs, Mr. Lee, that don't allow you to just go dredging the river as far left as Great Britain has become. Or people, you know, or they just, I mean, I imagine they aren't running up the river with a boat dredging, but if you want to find some stuff, you might want to do that. But I would think that Great Britain would have a big problem with that. You can't just be dredging up rivers and not being a vegan and stuff, can you? Well, Mr. Lee. Lady says, thank you for the link, Mr. Lee. We have a river nearby, but all that can be found there are dead catfish. Angel says, Mr. Lee, what happens if you find artifacts? Do you get to keep them? And he says, yes, you can, but you must have special license for mudlarking. That's what I thought. You can't just dig in the mud without a license. You got to pay us to have the freedom to just dig in the freaking mud. See what the issue, people don't, they're like, in other countries, people are like, what are you talking about? Americans always talking about your freedom. Yeah. Yeah. A freaking dog can go out there and dig in the mud. A gopher, a bird, turtles, whatever, anything. All these animals are out there digging in the mud. But if a human thinks about doing it, oh my God, they need a permit. If you have to have a permit in your country to dig in the damn mud, your country is not free. You're not free at all. They're Nazis. Of course, countries like that revealed themselves as Nazis. I mean, even the United States has at this point. They sneak it through. Oh, it's an emergency. We got to do this and that. And no, you don't got to do that shit. You didn't have to. You never have to. Forever unjabbed. Staying that way. Government can screw off. Nazi. The governments have turned Nazi. The people don't get complacent. Stand up to this crap. You should be able to dig in the damn mud without some government telling you, no, you have to pay us for a permit. Or even if it's a free permit, no, screw you. You're not tracking what I'm doing. I don't need permission from you to dig in the mud like all the other animals on the damn planet. Screw you and your damn permit. Here, fishing. And they have their excuses for it. But I can start tearing that apart all day long. But we probably don't want to do that tonight. Every other animal out there is eating all the fish at once. But the human animal is not allowed to be that free. You can't just go eat a fish. You got to pay somebody for permission to do it. And it's really criminal that they tell people that are from ancient lineages that predate the United States government, the Native Americans, so-called Native Americans. They're not Native Americans, but they were here before the United States came into existence. So where's this tyrannical government that came here and took their land get off telling them that they have to pay anything to fish or get a permit at all? We get a discount. Oh, thank you, Whitey, for giving me a discount. You tyrannical Nazi freaking government piece of crap. That's ridiculous, Mr. Lee. Ridiculous that you have to get a license there. Sleeping Beauty says something like that, Lock. Angel says, all I have found in the river near me is old car parts. Uncle Bones is here. Welcome. Mr. Lee says many unexploded bombs from the war have been found, and they have had to section off large parts of the Thames to detonate them. Everybody getting their highs and hellos and whatnots. Mr. Lee, have you found the bomb? You need to find a bomb. You need to find a bomb. Blow it up. Special license for everything. Yeah. Yeah, the slippery slope gets out of control. You have to have a license for everything. Yeah, and this is why they ran into that problem in California. They wanted to build that bathroom, but it was going to cost, how much was it? Like $1 million or something like that, or multiple millions. I can't remember what it was, but it had to do with permits and all this stuff. All they wanted to do was put a stupid bathroom out there so that you didn't have homeless people crapping all over the street. How hard can this freaking be? But they made it that way. They made it that way. I bet if I had a business there down in an area with a lot of homeless people, and I made a bathroom in the back that was freely accessible to the public so that the homeless people could go in there and shower and take a crap and whatever they needed to do like a human being, that the California government would tell me I couldn't do that. How dare you let the homeless people shower and take a shit like a human being? We want them living in squalor on the streets. Oaken Bone says, Mr. Lee, check out this, the ultimate carnivore diet, my ancestors. Yeah, everybody check out the carnivore diet, man. It's not a scam. It's not a fad. It's completely scientifically backed what humans are designed to eat. And I got to be careful how I word this. As long as I eat carnivore, I feel 10 times better. I've trimmed down. Diabetic symptoms go completely away. Autoimmune symptoms go completely away. If I ever got cancer, I would fast, but also stick strictly to carnivore when you are eating. And I know that I would no longer have cancer. Sleeping Beauty says freedom, exactly. Donald says, hey folks, I'm in the middle of a pool tournament kicking butt currently. Well, proceed. Proceed. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, I have never found abominable. But if you travel to the far shores of the Thames at Gravesend, you can find pieces of old pottery and pipes, all kind of goodies without permits. Far shores, huh? It's just amazing that in some places you would have to have a permit. That's crazy. What kind of totalitarian Nazi government requires you to have a permit to dig trash out of the mud? Fun and good luck. Yeah, kind of figured. Mr. Lee. Good job. Good job to Donald. The hustler. Some of those ghosts in the tower may be the same ghost, though. The people just aren't realizing it's the same one. Is Tom Cruise in that playing tournament? He might be. Like, you got Anne Boleyn. But like, see here, the faceless young woman. What if that's also someone saw Anne Boleyn? Maybe it's not a separate ghost at all. Shapeless form of a young woman, perhaps one of the many women. Yeah, but you couldn't tell who it was. So maybe he saw Anne Boleyn. Maybe he saw Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury. The white figure might have been one of these women. Tower of London is protected by the yeoman warders. Charge a whitest female figure with his bayonet. See, that whitest female figure could have been Anne Boleyn, could have been Lady Jane Grey, could have been Margaret Pole, or maybe Arbella Stewart, or maybe some people saw one of these ladies and thought it was one of the other ones. So I don't know. But we know ghosts are a real thing. Kind of like a broken record, because people see them kind of doing the same thing over and over again. They don't realize they don't realize that they're dead. If they're still here, they don't realize that they're dead. So color of money. Sleeping Beauty says you're welcome. It's a place for the homeless. This is why they would never let me be a multi-billionaire, because because I see what these people go through, and so many people like you you're letting it go too easily. You're not demanding hard enough from the government. Your vote is not being reserved only for those who will actually do something to try and fix the problem. If you're voting for someone like the governor of California, the current false presidente, these people, the vice president, she came from there. These people who always say, "Oh, we're going to do something," but they never do anything. For some people, you're not going to be able to do much to help them become, like you, where you have a house and a job and all that stuff. But they're mentally ill, or something's wrong, or they're disabled, or they're just too old, or they're drug addicted and they can't get off it, and no one's going to help them. Not really. California is just enabling them. Here's some needles. Go try and overdose while you're out there. I mean, that's really what they're trying to do, isn't it? I mean, does anyone think that California's not trying to get these people to overdose? So yeah, if I was a multi-billionaire, I would probably build a very huge facility that could, and then just make it into like a nonprofit or something, and so people can donate and help, because it's going to be very, very expensive if you're going to house the entirety of the homeless community. And just say, look, you can't just be shitting on the street. Freedom is freedom, but you just can't be shitting on the street. and then, you know, allow people the freedom to use drugs, but because that's what freedom is. You're free to do whatever to your own body you want, but we're not going to indate. We're not just going to straight up, you know, give you needles, you know, and we're going to have some programs to try and help you get off if you want to get off. If you want to keep down that road and screw your life up worse and worse until there's no coming back, you know, that's your business. But we don't have to just hand you the needles. Controlling the southern border will help with some of this with fentanyl and stuff like that. You know, we don't have to just let it flow in, you know, from another country. Even if it's produced legally here, at least it's, you know, regulated. You know, where it's a product of known quantity, known characteristics, known um, uh, you know, consistency of the product. So you know, because things you get on the street, you know, there could be high variability, which will lead to some of these overdoses on different drugs. And it could be laced with something, you never know. But in a legally produced situation, you're not going to have laced products because that would not be legal. But locking down the border tighter than a crab's ass just makes sense. But you got people there, oh, we just need to let people walk in here. Yeah, that's working out great, isn't it? Have you looked around? Are you paying attention? You really think this is working out good? But yeah, I mean, I think that a huge facility where we would say, look, we'll take in the homeless from everywhere, you know. And if people have mental health issues, we'll get them mental health issues. If they have addiction issues, we'll try and help them with that if they will let us. You know, have separate places for the people with children. You don't need to be housing a family with kids next to drug addicts. So there'd be some separation, right? Because it's just you don't want to mix all that up. Of course, a lot of homeless people will try to stay on the streets, but because that's where they want to be. So there's a lot of things to try and do to fix that, and it's the local governments don't want to do it. The federal government doesn't want it done for sure, but the state governments don't want it done. Some of the like the city and the counties may want it done, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want to work. They don't want to do their damn job. So, Lady Sissel, LOCKBEARD, you're a North American tribe member. How did the potentially maybe kind of sort of connection to English royalty come about? Oh, well, I'm not full blood, obviously. I'm a member of the Choctaw tribe. I have blood of the Cherokees and the Chickasaw as well. I have English, Irish, French, Swedish. You know, part of being American. You know, I can actually show my card, unlike a certain congresswoman who tried to claim she was Indian but couldn't demonstrate it at all. I'm not. She was trying to use it as you know, trying to get some clout. Well, you know, it's not. To me, it's, you know, it's not. It shouldn't be about clout. It's just about, you know, what's true. You know, what's real. Well, got blood from a lot of areas. I'm clearly mostly of European descent, obviously. Um, yeah, but yeah. And as far as English royalty, I mean, it depends on whether you consider those the real royals for one. But you know, there were earls of Salisbury, and I'm named Earl Salisbury, so I'm sure there's a tremendous degree of relation to them dudes going back quite a ways. But whatever. I never got invited to the family reunions over there. I haven't received my royal stipend or whatever the hell. I mean, clearly those assholes can live high on the hog over there. The people pay for it there. Mr. Lee says Salisbury, very picturesque place to visit, full of English heritage. Donald says it's unreal how much your game improves with correct glasses. Yeah, you kind of need to see. You wear contacts? No. Actually, he does not. Contacts much more better, Mr. Lee. Lady says they hand out needles to prevent sharing needles or reusing contaminated ones. Helps prevent the spread of hepatitis, AIDS, any blood-borne diseases, actually. Yes. Perhaps. Perhaps that's why they really do it. You know, the government, every time they say, we're going to do this good thing, and this is why it's going to be a good thing. Because they got to have an excuse, right? They got to have an excuse why they're handing out needles, right? I mean, everybody knows these are their excuses. But the real reason is they want people using lots and lots of drugs. They don't want there to be the barrier that I couldn't find a needle. And now there's some politicians that may legitimately believe this is the reason why. But really, we're just flooding the community with needles to allow them to do all the drugs they want to do and hope that they overdose. They're hoping they overdose. That's what they're after. You know. Fact is, most of those people already probably got hepatitis anyway. Donald says, I heard they aren't giving them free passes on the 11th on the southern border. Slim Bitty says, my dream if I ever won the lottery, help the homeless. Yeah, I mean, if you build a facility with some kind of like tiny apartments, you know, just a place where they can sleep out of the cold and out of the heat with a shower and have like a cafeteria where they can all go down and get a proper meal, you know, so they're not begging on the street. And then part of this issue now, because there's people out there that are scammers, you know, they're claim to be homeless, but they're not. This would destroy the scammers. You know, like this guy up here by this truck stop on the border between Oklahoma and Missouri. Everybody pretty much knows this guy's rich. He's got, you know, his wife comes and picks him up in, I can't remember what vehicle. It's a nice vehicle. They live in a big house. From begging on the side of the road with a little dog sitting there with him. People just give him money. Look, if you don't know the person personally, you shouldn't give them money. Because they could be a scammer like this guy who isn't homeless at all. He just figured out it's easier to sit by the side of the road, do nothing, and people will just hand him money. And then, of course, some people, they're using that money for drugs. You don't want that, do you? Do you want to help people buy drugs? You know, you think you're going to help them, you know, maybe, you know, get a meal, a real meal or home or something. But no, what they need is intervention of their drug addiction. And you just help them buy drugs. There's a guy down at this gas station here. I've been watching him for a while. You know, people will hand him $5, $10. He'll go right in there, stick it in the lottery machine. He's addicted to gambling, it looks like to me. You know, he goes and sticks it right in the lottery machine. I've seen him do it so many damn times, it's crazy. Well, do you want to pay for that? So a system that where we say, look, you know, you got a small apartment. You know, it's not big, but it's a tiny apartment. You're out of the weather. The food's provided. You got a shower. There's no reason why you shouldn't go there if you're homeless and you're really in bad circumstances. And every citizen would be knowledgeable of this. They would know, okay, this homeless person could just ask a cop or some government official, somebody, and say, look, you know, I would like to be transported to the homeless shelter. And they would be taken and they would be warm, they would be fed, they would have clothing. So if every citizen knows this and this person's still on the street asking them for money, you have to think, why? It's because they want drugs. Typically, it's because they want drugs or alcohol, or in the case of this dude down here, gambling. Although he may be buying drugs too. I don't know. I don't watch him that closely, but I have seen what he does down there at the gas station. Well, at least he was. They ran him off. They got sick of him. Yeah. And all it would take is providing the appropriate homeless shelters for these people. Maybe every state has one facility or something like that, or maybe you have a centrally located facility serving 3 or 4 states, or you know, whatever. But you could do this. There's no reason not to do this. The government's got billions to send to Ukraine, but we can't help our homeless. We got veterans on the street. We got people with mental illness. No, something's wrong. Something's very corrupt and wrong. Mr. Lee says 3 very close friends of mine have died from overdose. There is very little help. Yeah. I mean, you're going to think this is crazy when I say this, but the first step to fixing this problem that the government could do for free, you know, it won't cost you a dime, but they won't do it. And you have to ask why. They won't do it. All they have to do, legalize everything. It's already on the street. But if you legalize it where it's sold legally by legitimate business owners who produce it under proper regulated laboratory conditions, instead of somebody cooking some crap up in their trailer, a lot of this will stop. The next step, lock down that border tighter than a crab's ass. Bring a lot of our servicemen home, station them on the border. You need to put a little tower in every 50 yards or something. You don't need a wall. You just need a line of these little huts or houses or whatever along the border. Put a fence, you know, so they have to jump over something. But to put our veterans, because you know, you go in the military, you come back, you know, maybe you have a hard time finding work, and you know, or maybe you want to do something that's, you know, still protecting the nation in a way, you know, well, provide veterans a job guarding the southern border. They won't do it. They won't do it. Keeping all those foreign drugs from coming. We don't want to make other countries rich off, you know, addicting our people to drugs. And then we try not to make sure there's not too much incentive for companies producing a drug. Like if a company's only producing the currently illicit drugs, we got a problem. So look, you know, if you're producing drugs that we're not trying to get rid of, like marijuana, probably not trying to get rid of marijuana, right? You can produce these other drugs, but if you're producing these other drugs and you're not in marijuana too, we're gonna start looking at you a little sideways, because you're probably gonna be incentivized to addict people to sell more, and then we're right back into a problem again. So we need to watch that, but at least we can control it, because it's our people, it's our country, it's our businesses, our regulations. and we can control that. The lady says, "Cool, your heritage." I was interested, not challenging. Oh no, I didn't think you were challenging. But I mean, I don't care. I'm a tribal member, so I have some interest in what the tribe does, and pisses me off some of the crap that they do. The tribal governments are just as corrupt as the U.S. government. That's for damn sure. And yeah. But Miss Julie says, I took dog for a walk today in the rain. All stalls set up for celebration. It pissed down with rain all day. Big washout. Rex Hand is here. Welcome. Haven't seen Rex in a while. Rex, are you where the normal channel is now? This ain't the normal channel anymore. This is the backup channel. And the only reason we're here right now is because the new channel, the primary channel, has been hit with a strike again and is suspended for 2 weeks. So we're going to be here live streaming for the next 2 weeks, but then after that, we'll be back on the other channel. Donald says, Locks and Indian Outlaw have Cherokee and Choctaw. His old lady's a biker hog. Yeah, that was funny. That song almost stated what my real ancestry is: Cherokee, Choctaw, and Chickasaw. But not half Cherokee and Choctaw, but way less than half. But and then I think it says in the song, his baby is a Chickasaw or something like that. That song nowadays, that song would probably be considered some kind of violation for the woke crowd, wouldn't it? The lady says that's a great song. Mr. Lee says, Elon Musk says he has the money to prevent all poverty. Show me the money, knucklehead. Yeah, but why should he pay for it all? If he wants to, he wants to. I'm just saying, why should he alone pay for it all? But he probably knows what I know, and what I think a lot of y'all know is that if a rich billionaire, whoever it is, tries to stop all that nonsense, they will do something to stop you from ending all poverty. They want poverty. They need these problems to be solved to have a justification for their existence in the very convoluted legal code and to create problems, because they know poverty creates problems. Poverty creates crime. Poverty creates drug addiction. Poverty creates all kinds of social maladies. It isn't just poor people living on the side of the road, or living under a bridge or something, not bothering anybody. Usually there's other problems that erupt from that. Of course you think, well, don't they want crime to stop? No, they don't want crime to stop. They want more crime. They want you to think that you need them to stop crime. What you need is for them to stop perpetuating crime. They're doing things to perpetuate crime. They're doing it on purpose. So, I don't know. Vote President Salisbury 2028. Yay. Let Donald Trump get another round in there. I do not think he will actually drain the swamp like he says, but who knows? I don't know. Trump Carlson 2024. We'll see what happens. But the Angel says, Mr. Lee, I agree that there needs to be better rehab for those that want to get clean. It is the same here unless you have money for the fancy places. Mr. Lee says some people pretend to be homeless. He makes 150 pounds a day and a lot of free food. I'm in the wrong jab. Yeah, there's people here that do that, man. They're fake poor people. So, like, I don't know if we would need, because on one hand you want freedom, but I think it's just a public education thing. Say, look, every homeless person has the option to go to these homeless shelters, and these homeless shelters provide everything that they need. They do not need to be on the side of the road begging money. If you give money to these people, it's getting used for drugs. Almost always it's getting used for drugs, or it's a scammer like you're describing here. And you just make sure the public is well educated. Maybe we have some commercials that play every so often to remind people, say, look, if you give money to someone on the side of the road, you're perpetuating drug use and scammers, because all homeless people have a place to go. There's a small apartment, shower, bathroom, bed. There's a cafeteria in the building to feed them all that they need to eat. And there's clothing. They don't need your money. And because it's just, you can't, unless you have vetted that person yourself, you don't know. You see a homeless person on the side of the road. You see that guy down at that pilot station. You you may assume that he's actually homeless, but he's not. And again, a lot of people know it, but not everybody knows it. So that he's sitting there just making bank, and it's wrong, because there's people that really need help, and our government has failed them. Top place in London for rehab, charged £5,000 a week. Whoa. Hello, Rex. Donald says, we had a guy that had some struggles after his tour in the latest war. He would work for his donations. He just couldn't hold down a regular job. Yeah, for a lot of people, they have issues and they can't overcome them. And Okabun's Lockbeard scams on the tubes also. Guy gives fake homeless money and food, then asks viewers to send him cash to help more. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it at all. I can assure you, if you ever see me giving homeless people money, well, remember this. You'll know, okay, no, he's not doing it. He wouldn't be doing it that way. You do not do it that way. And unless you know that person and you know that they, maybe they were laid off from their job and their wife took everything in the divorce and it wasn't really his fault and she was just a bitch, because that happens sometimes. Sometimes it's the guy's fault. Sometimes it's a woman just being a complete bitch. But in general, like, because you can see it, like, like if you buy them, if they're near McDonald's or something, and he said, hey, do you want I can go here and get you a burger, and you can see they're kind of disappointed. They don't want a fucking burger. They're gonna get all the food out of the dumpster, right? They're gonna get all the food out of the dumpster they want. Don't worry about it. They're not hungry. They are not hungry. These are people they're drug addicts, drug addicts typically, and they dig their food out of the dumpster. They don't care. I knew a guy in a town really close to here. He was having hard times, and he was digging food out of dumpsters. He didn't, problem. He did run into a problem at a pizza place because they found out he was getting the old pizza out, and so they started pouring, grease all over the pizza and throwing flour all over it to fuck it up. They're being assholes. Just give the guy the leftover pizza. Fuck. See, humans are just evil sometimes. Look, you don't have to get. I'm saying don't give them money, but if you're throwing food out anyway, just instead of throwing it in the dumpster, set it next to the dumpster or set it out the back door. Don't just destroy it. That was some assholes in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Hopefully they hear this. You were assholes. You don't need to do that shit. Rex says they will not do that because they're thinning the herd. Yep. They're trying to kill a bunch of people. Well, they have. They successfully have. A lot of people just walked in, got injected. There's enough fentanyl right now to kill everybody 100 times over. Yeah. How in the hell did we need that much fentanyl? We have a fentanyl epidemic because they want it to be there. The government does. I mean, we had a live stream I did where we were tearing into the DEA, all over the DEA, because the DEA is the head cartel in charge. They're not trying to stop drug trade. They're trying to maintain their drug empire. Their job is to maintain the U.S. government's drug empire. As long as all these cartels are playing the game, a lot of them are going to be left alone. Do you think for a second that the U.S. government can't find every single cartel member in Mexico? That our military, like we couldn't say, look, Mexico, just let us come in and take these guys out. Mexico don't want you to, and the United States government doesn't want to because they want those cartels there. Anytime they're having a bust, it's for show. Sometimes you got to sacrifice a few of your peeps to make it look like you're actually enforcing. You're actually the drug enforcement agency, but they're not. They're the head cartel in charge. And that's been kind of shown over and over again, but people just not like that. Should be one thing. Your presidential candidate says, look, we're going to disband the DEA. We're going to investigate everybody, and anybody found to not be actually doing their job, which is probably going to be like 100% of them, goes to jail, actually gets charges. CIA, FBI, everybody. Well, you know what happens when you go against CIA? They'll off a president. They've done it before. But so let's just see how far Trump's money goes, and will Trump actually say something like this? I'm betting not. Rex says, I tried to send you an email, but it did not go through. Yeah. Something is wrong with my Proton email address. So the Proton email address is no more. So it won't work. I'm putting my other email address in the chat. So if you want on the mail on the email list, then I can put you on there if you want. Because I've been trying to email people just before the streams in case YouTube don't notify you. And then I try to always put the link directly to the live stream in the email, so you don't even have to find it. Chessboard's here. Saying hello to everybody. Welcome, Chessboard. Hashtag woke. Yeah. Send Uncle Bones a photo. You'll be back. Good luck. Mr. Lee says, good luck, Donald. Lock's primary channel when he gets back on. Yeah. Suspended for 2 weeks. So we'll be here until then. Looking at you. Mr. Lee says, I'm eating a warm boiled egg with some great salt. Awesome, Mr. Lee. Chessboard says, Lockbeard, how many Son of a bitch. Come on. This thing's not functioning. Well, I can't get the pop up on the screen. I don't know what's wrong. How many homeless and hungry? I don't know. I don't know. I guess it depends on how much you're spending per person. Lady says that happens all the time. Men get raked over the coals in domestic court. Yeah. Like there was a guy in this town I used to live in. His wife got the electrical business. He's the electrician. It was his name. The business was his last name. She wants to divorce him. No longer, get rid of his last name. She wants to divorce herself from his last name, but she wants to keep his business that has his last name on it. Electrical business. She's not even a damn electrician. He's the electrician. How is this right? How is this right? Mr. Lee says I've eaten out of rubbish bin before when I was desperate. Yes. Hump my food. Yeah. Didn't wake you. Mr. Lee says, Rexham, you cannot hunt your food in London unless it's a rat. No, thank you. Well, there's something else you can hunt in London besides rats. You got cats, you got dogs, you got people, pigeons. People's probably your best bet. They're easy to catch. Rex says, I hear that, Mr. Lee. Uncle Bone says, chessboard, I've never been to the horse races. Angel says it's not just fentanyl. There's something out now that Narcan does not work on, some animal tranquilizer. Yeah, they're always coming up with something. What was that stuff that made people act like a, zombie? Flacca, I think it was called Flacca. Yeah, it's crazy shit. Yeah, there's an email address. If you don't have that email address, switch to that email address. Proton Mail claims that they got a report about me that I was in violation of their terms of service. I can't imagine what the hell that is. I emailed them and asked them what, and they said they couldn't tell me. What do you mean you can't tell me? You're going to disable my email account because I violated the terms of service, but you can't tell me what I violated? That's CIA right there, man. They're jacking with me. Lady says Angel heard that. Sounds like a real problem. I wonder where that is coming from. Ketamine, Angel, says Donald. That was an easy win. Hey, chessboard. No idea. Mr. Lee says Angel, that is called xylazine animal trank. Yeah. Chessboard says Uncle Bones. The 8 paid $14.58 to place 9.08 to show. Some weird numbers. I don't know what they mean. So I don't know if they're talking horse races or pool or snooker. Mr. Lee says Donald, ketamine was the old stuff. Mr. Lee's up on his drugs, man. Angel says Donald, nope, something else. Mr. Lee, that is it. Right on. Wood pigeon, good eating. Man. Donald says never heard of that one. The government hasn't distributed that here, probably. No, they have. They have. Rexham. Sleeping Beauty says chessboard. No, I'm still halfway asleep. Mr. Lee, have you ever been to the Tower of London? We'll be coming north. Local Bone says Donald, adrenaline would help with ketamine, will not with xylazine. Sleeping Beauty says, damn, that makes me sad about the food. Yes, give it away, geez. Tahlequah, dang, yeah. It was also in Tahlequah, that same guy, like, he said that they, like, every so often, like, shoes that aren't selling, the shoe store, throws them away. But they don't, instead of taking them to Goodwill or just setting them outside, or just throwing them in, even just throwing them in a dumpster, people can't go and get these shoes and tacked out of the dumpster because before they throw them away, they cut them all up. They cut the shoes to make it where people can't use them. I mean, we are such a wasteful society. It's just crazy. They should give that to the Goodwill or just give it to the homeless or something. But they're so afraid that someone's going to get a free pair of shoes and not buy the shoes instead. Lowe's does this shit too. Like if they have a person in the back, when returns come in and it's something that works fine, but they can't sell it for some reason. Maybe it's got some cosmetic damage, but it still functions. Like say it's an air conditioner. Say it's a window unit air conditioner, and the front of it's busted, so it's not really sellable, but it functions fine. Well, they'll go take an axe to it or some shit and make sure that it's no longer functioning. And then they put it in a trailer out back. They don't even put that kind of stuff in the dumpster. It goes to be recycled, which it should be recycled, I think. But they do not want to risk that someone gets a free air conditioner. There's a lot of people out there who can't afford to buy an air conditioner. I did deliveries with washer. We delivered washers, dryers, and stuff for Lowe's. So a lot of times we go into the house and pull the old fridge out, or the old refrigerator, the old freezer, the old washer and dryer. We'd pull those units out of the house, the old one, and then put the new one in because we'd have to hook up the water and stuff like that for ice makers and washing machines and stuff like that. But anyway, the old units a lot of times were working washers and dryers, working refrigerators, and we were not allowed. Like if I wanted one, I wasn't allowed to take it. It goes directly into that recycling trailer. I think I mentioned one time to the managers, like, we should take this stuff down to Goodwill. If it's a working washer and dryer, a working refrigerator, there's poor people that might need, this stuff. Take it down to Goodwill. I don't know if Goodwill will take appliances, or somehow give it to the poor. I mean, this is good for public relations, isn't it? No, they're not going to do it. Might hurt their profit. I'm like, look, the people that are going to use this old dryer right here are not people that are going to walk into Lowe's and buy a new dryer. It's not going to happen. Those people can't afford a new dryer. Those are people a lot of times probably their dryer broke years ago, and they've been using the dryer down at the laundromat for the last several years. They're never going to buy a new dryer. They're stuck going to the laundromat. You're not going to lose any profit, and you're probably going to gain some good PR. Nope, not going to do it. Donald says, I wonder if Alt pulled some shit on you, Lock. Pretty sure he had one of his buddies hack my computer. They might have gotten into my. I don't know. I think they couldn't have gotten in the Proton Mail. They couldn't have hacked that. But they might have made a complaint somehow. I don't know how you would do that, but they might have. I don't know. I like to say to those guys is, look, karma can be a bitch. I don't know what to tell you. Karma can be a bitch. I'm of the opinion that if I can find an opportunity to exact revenge, I will. Rain down fire. So you better hope that I never can. You know. So I hope you laugh it up for now, but one day it may hit you, and it may hit you hard. So how about just leave me the hell alone? Go talk shit. You can talk shit all you want. I don't care. That's free speech. I love free speech. Every time you talk shit about me, I love the fact that you talk shit about me, because you are utilizing that nice, sweet American freedom. So do that. But when you are disrupting my accounts and stuff like that, you're actually committing a crime. So, you know, one day you might be sitting in a courtroom trying to catch up. Put it on 2x speed. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, yes, I've been to the Tower of London. Of course, man. You can find the beefeaters there. That uniform is hilarious. Chessport says, Lockbeard, when I worked at Chrysler parts plant, it would make you sick to see what they destroyed before putting in salvage. Man. Yeah. Man, everything's working so slow right now. The computer's hot. The computer's too hot, so the fan's running pretty hard. What is your laptop messed up, Donald? Asked Uncle Bones. Sleeping Beauty says heartbreaking. Mr. Lee says it's amazing what you can get in the dump. I have salvaged much. Have you? Donald says, Uncle Bones, nope, but all my files, screen grabs, emails, and pics were deleted. I had saved for the goof. I got backups. Rexanne says, Mr. Lee, they have people on YouTube making a living doing that. Sounds like you got hacked. Lady says, I wonder if it is a liability issue. Would the vendor giving away the appliance be subject to lawsuit if the person receiving the appliance injured themselves in some way? Oh, I don't know. I think they just don't. My understanding is that they were just worried about lost profit in the story. And also, like on returned items, if it looks new enough and someone brings it in, like sometimes people will try and bring it in and return it, and then they might say, well, I lost my receipt, and they had some measures to try and combat that kind of stuff, but sometimes an assistant manager will be like, just want to just get rid of this person, so they'll see it is a Lowe's product, and then take it back anyway, so. But when I don't know what the hell, but if you see someone running out of the store with a chainsaw or something, you're not supposed to do anything to stop them. Just let them go. So if you're, so they tried to have these controls overly controlled back here, but not controlled over there. It's just weird, the stuff that they would do. Chessboard says they destroyed the washers and dryers in Iran and Afghanistan to keep them from using the timers. Mr. Lee says, Rex, telling you, if I had the time, I would do the same thing. Chessboard says, Donald, you can recover files that were deleted if you haven't formatted that drive. Do a search for how do I recover deleted files. Mr. Lee says, old lady in the woods, you cannot give old appliances to charity or homeless here. You need special license. Another license. Why am I not surprised? Another license. Everything, you got to be licensed. License this. So you've been in the Tower of London, Mr. Lee, but did you see anything ghostly while you were there? Any ghost at all? Beef eaters. Why do they call them beef eaters? It's hilarious. It also says chessboard, if I had everything saved on zip, I had everything saved on zip drives, but my brother's working on finding the culprit. He's a computer geek like that. Oh, dude, I hope you find him. Need to find a good, like a good unstoppable hacker who wants to stop all the bad hackers. And he has the ability to find out who hacked you, hack into that person's system, and then initiate a self-destruct. Maybe program their computer to link up into anywhere that they save their files and set up a deletion program. You know, so while they're plugging in zip drives and linking into their Google Docs and stuff like that for a couple of weeks, the computer's planting an apocalypse program in there secretly. And then at a certain day and time, everything gets deleted. And then that person's computer just runs hard, and burns up. Where is that good hacker at? Mr. Lee says, for example, I knew one guy that worked in charity shop. He would collect old clock radios. He did burn to death, no lie. Say what? So, I mean, you're leaving out some information here. Did one of the clock radios catch fire? Is that what you're trying to say? Or did he turn them all on at once and he got bombarded with so much radio wavelength that it cooked him like a microwave? Donald says, my phone's buffering like crazy. Must have ran out of my 5G. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, a lot of ghost tourist attractions in London. Most of them are a joke. You must do your own investigation. No, I never did see no ghost in the Tower of London. Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could go to places like that and had the equipment to actually, try to catch images of ghosts and whatnot. But it takes money. For one, going to London would be the traveling expense. Of course, now they're probably going to say, "No, you need to get jabbed." I'm like, "No, I'm not participating in your genocide today. You're not killing me with your injection, like you did all those thousands of other people." So I probably can't. They want it like this. They don't want you traveling. That's why they're doing this 15-minute city crap too. No, you need to stay in your little compound, your little concentration camp, unless you get permitted to leave. Oh, there's that word permitted again. Mr. Lee says clock radio caught on fire. Yes, rest in peace, Donald. Well, that sucks. Chessboard says a license is permission granted by a qualified authority permitting a licensee to do something that would otherwise be prohibited. Is government a qualified authority? Well, you know, who tells you if you're a qualified authority, right? The government does. So they told themselves that they're a qualified authority to tell you that you're qualified to do something as long as you purchase your permit. Really, the only thing that qualifies you that they care about is, did you pay your license fee? And did you fill out the paperwork and ask permission first? And did you not do anything until we told you could and paid us to tell you that you could? Oh, man. Rexan says, Dick talking about running out of time. Say who? Who? What Dick is talking about running out of time? Lady says, local ghost hunters once did an investigation in my former backwoods. I followed them, and they had to keep turning around asking if I was there. Why? I don't understand. I kept thinking to myself that if they couldn't keep track of an old lady in the woods, they weren't going to find any ghosts. Maybe they can't track you until you turn into a ghost. Maybe that's why they're ghost hunters, because they can't track anything else. So they track ghosts. I don't know. I don't know if everybody here was here the night that we went through Ken Wheeler's paper that was explaining what ghosts are and the science behind what ghosts are. Excellent point. Mr. Lee says, I did visit Chislehurst Caves once. Many ghost sightings. It was spooky. Did you have ghost sightings, though? You've said you've had some experiences, Mr. Lee. I don't know which ones happened where or anything like that. Chessboard says, Donald, you can get a 5 terabyte external drive for less than $100 to make backups. Beats the hell out of zip drives. Yeah, but $100 is $100, man. Some of us don't have that. I mean, like maybe I could use one myself, but I'm having to rely on what's on my computer, and I can't. Like, I've had to delete all of my live streams off my computer now, so I don't have them backed up anymore. I have some files backed up to the cloud, but it's full, so I can't really back up anything else at this point. Which just sucks. I'm trying to figure out how these gamers do all this shit, man. Apparently, they need to have a lot of fucking storage or something, but my computer's pretty much full, and the cloud is full, and so basically, I just can't even store anything hardly new, or I have to delete something to store something newer. Do you watch Scammer Payback channel? Check him out. Sounds like he might be cool. Lady says, I've watched that guy, Donald. He's doing God's work. Well, Mr. Lee, well, what ghosts have you seen? Like, what? Explain what you saw. Like, I can't say that I've really seen anything, or if I have seen anything, I don't remember. Like, my memory's kind of wonky. Like, I've forgotten so much stuff. My old timers is well developed. So I don't know. I might have seen a ghost at some point and just kind of forgot it, or maybe I didn't realize what I was experiencing. Um, but there's been enough people that have seen stuff and some data, scientific data. I mean, they're a real thing. And then, of course, if you're interested in understanding the science explaining the real thing, Ken Wheeler, has published his paper, and it's really short. It didn't take much. But the problem with it is if you don't understand field theory, you're not going to really get it. You kind of need to understand field theory, and almost nobody does. So, so I don't know. I don't know how to fix that. I imagine a lot of people don't even want the scientific explanation for ghost, because they want it to be a mystical thing and it's magical, and it's not. And of course, some people don't want to believe ghosts are real at all, so they're not going to listen to the scientific explanation for ghosts, and because they completely discount ghosts, they won't listen. They want to have their atheist religion, which it is. You're declaring there is not something as if it's just a straight up fact. You really need to say you're an agnostic, um, because you don't know. You don't know, and that's what agnostic is. But they want to take a hard stance that the whole concept of a spiritual realm is just not real, when that's just not the case. Although the word spiritual is a bad word for it. I don't like that word for it. If there was a different word to use for it, I'd prefer. But that made sense. But the problem is no one would know what the hell you're talking about if you use that word. They understand what you talk about when you say spiritual, but so at least so at least they know what you're talking about, ghosts and various non corporeal entities or whatever. But they don't understand that they need to leave the connotation of that word, what it means to them. They need to leave that at the door and adopt a new definition of what spiritual is. And they're just not going to be able to wrap their mind around it most of the time. So we're kind of stuck where we can't do anything. And the people that want to see ghost hunters, but they don't want to see someone trying to approach ghosts with the knowledge of the real scientific explanation of ghost, to try and establish some irrefutable proof, irrefutable evidence of ghost. So we'll be stuck here. We'll be stuck here because people will go, it's just like old Vault over there. People will go fund him talking his bullshit about Dogman instead of funding people who keep their mind in the scientific realm and things that make sense to exist based on real science, even though it's not the science the mainstream is using, which is pseudoscience. So I don't know. Hopefully one day we'll be able to convince enough people to say, hey, look, one, mainstream science is wrong. Say something like, say it is ghosts. It's the issue of ghosts. If you're someone who knows that there's something there, right? Your experiences tell you that there really are ghosts. You need to be so at least you believe it. And if you actually want the explanation for what that is, you're gonna you can go watch these yahoos running around with Geiger counters and stuff, and maybe they'll get lucky and find some stuff out, but they're operating off mainstream science. They're operating off of pseudoscience for the most part. So they're never going to get any real hard data. They're not going to get any really hard evidence. It's just not going to happen. It's hard enough as it is, considering the nature of the thing. Humans aren't really, very capable of observing these kind of phenomena reliably all the time. So Donald says, I'll get you one, Lock. Figure out what you need. Email your shipping and what you need. What are you talking about? Oh, drive? Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, too difficult to explain in chat. Mr. Lee, you got to come on camera. Rex says, what about the debt ceiling? How do you think that's going to work? Oh, man. How many times they raised it at this point? Many times. They've raised it many times. Every time they run up on that bitch, they just, we got to raise it a little more. We got to raise it a little more. Look, there's going to be a breaking point at some point where, I mean, if you and I did this, you call a credit card company and say, look, I've run up my limit. Could you raise my limit? Sure, we're going to raise your limit. And then a few months later, you raise it again, and you raise it again, and you raise it again. That's what the government does. If you don't do it, they're going to tell you, oh, you didn't pay your debts. You're in trouble. What's the government's credit score? Again, we need to vote. We need to vote. Starting with your local mayor and on up. Governor. Need to vote hard and push hard. Say, look, no more of this stuff. There's no more pork in any bill. It should be illegal to have pork in a bill. Illegal. Each bill needs to be one single matter. Not that matter plus, we need to put some money, allocate some money to this thing over here in California in order to get that dude to vote, get a representative to vote or a senator to vote on this bill. He'll agree to it if we put this item in there. Well, that's unethical. Like, every senator, every representative should vote for a bill because it's the right thing to do, or not vote for it because it's not the right thing to do. Not because someone put a bribe in there to send some money back to your state. But that's what they're doing. It's absolutely corrupt, unethical bullshit, and they just keep doing it. And of course, it should be we should somehow find a way to force Congress to make it law that you cannot set a budget that's going to increase your debt. You should set a budget that you should be required to set your budget low enough that you're not incurring more debt and you're paying off some of the debt. That should be just a requirement. But they do, and what they're doing in the process is they're basically creating U.S. dollars, these phantom U.S. dollars out of nothing. So the if this was the total value of the U.S. economy, every U.S. dollar has an equal part of this value, and then they made some more US dollars. Well, the value didn't increase. The value is the same of the entire economy, but there's more US dollars to divide that value too. So all US dollars just lost some value. And they do that. They keep doing that over and over again. That's why there's no reason to have inflation. If you have inflation, it's because they engineered it that way. And they did. You cannot keep printing money. You cannot keep printing money. You need to bring back the gold standard. Oh, nobody, oh, we can't have that. Why not? So they can't just create, money out of nowhere and then suck some of the value out of your pocket as you're standing there. There's, US dollars in your wallet, and the value's just kind of just evaporating off of those in your pocket, and it's going to some rich prick. I mean, they shouldn't compromise on this. They shouldn't compromise it. No raising the debt ceiling. No, require the budget to be set low enough that that we can pay down the debt. That should be required, and to do that, run hard. They're like, oh no, we're paying off the interest just fine. Are you fucking? These are our elected leaders, and they're going to be these kind of, it's fine to have debt. We'll just pay the interest. Are you retarded? You guys are managing the U.S. economy. You expect us to do different and to understand that you can't just keep incurring debt and then paying bigger and bigger interest as your debt grows, because that's what happens. And then it's just dumb. It's ridiculously stupid. So either these guys are economic morons, have no self-control, or they're doing this on purpose to rob you and I. And that last part's what's really going on. These guys aren't morons. They know exactly what they're doing. And we, all the people out here, need to hold them accountable. These assholes should go to jail. They should absolutely go to jail for what they've done. If an American citizen is required to try and keep their debt at zero, and if they do incur debt because they have to, which most people are doing that don't really have to, but then pay it down quickly. Tighten your belt. Keep your budget tight. If you're used to, let's say you had an emergency expense, you had to throw it on your credit card. So you have this interest that you're paying on this debt. So you need to pay it down as quickly as possible, so you're not paying any more interest than you have to over time. So you need to start tightening your belt. So if you go to the movies every week, well, you're not going to the movies for a while. Going to the movies every week is not a necessity of life. If you are, eating ribeye steaks 3 nights a week, well, not anymore. You are eating some cheaper meat. You should still eat meat. Are you eating burger patties, or if you want to get real cheap, you get your crock pot out, you throw a freaking pork butt or a pork shoulder in there, $1.88 a pound down here at this Walmart. I don't know what it is where you're at, but it's one of the cheapest way to get a big pile of meat. And you're not eating ribeyes for a while until you pay down that debt. That's what you should do, but that's not what the government does. They just say, oh, we're going to give ourselves a higher credit limit. That's what the debt ceiling is. We're raising our credit limit because we maxed out our credit card, but that's okay, because lucky us, we can vote to raise our own credit limit. Isn't it funny how that works? Holy shit. These guys are criminal. Absolutely criminal. Rex says, I've experienced a vocal scream. It was weird. Mr. Lee says many peeps have seen ghosts. They just don't know it. Just saying. Mr. Lee says, Rex Hand, yes, me also. Hit it, you knuckleheads? Yes, Mr. Lee, you tell them. Tell the knuckleheads. 750. Chessboard says, Donald sent you email. Goes on sale sometime for $99. Donald says, I can't believe how stupid he is taking that screen capture from finding Bigfoot and claiming it's his picture he took. It was a CGI for the show. Talk about Vault. Are you? Donald says, Chessboard, something Locke can use with his setup. Chessboard says, Rex, they're keeping the working class in the poorhouse. I read last week the reparations in California will trickle down to federal funding. Great. Mr. Lee says gold. Yeah, Mr. Lee, you bailed out last night before we got to the gold story. You bailed out. You got weak. Donald says, what are you using for a laptop, Lockbeard? I want to make sure it's compatible with Chessboard's email. Well, it's a MacBook Air. So it's a MacBook Air. It just, the only connections on it has is USB-C. Is that what they call that? USB-C on a MacBook Air. That's all it has. It's where you charge. I mean, it's for charging and file transfer and all that stuff. Chessboard says, Rex Hand, I told my neighbor 20 years ago, while you're working, you're an asset. When you become disabled or retired, you become a liability. I restarted 8 years ago. Retired? You mean retired? I don't think you got retarded 8 years ago, or did you? It says you say I retarded 8 years ago. Chessboard says, Donald Fuller, those drives are USB, works on PC or Apple. Yeah, I don't. This MacBook Air doesn't have a USB connection. It's like, I think it's called USB-C or USB 3 or something. It's I don't remember which one it's called, but it's not a USB. It's the smaller connection that. I'm up again. I'll be back. Icon, what's up? Says, yeah, Mr. Lee, you bullocks. Mr. Lee says, Icon, last time I checked, they looked good. Plump. What? What are you talking about? Uncle Bone says, Icon, no, hey, you got your new combine yet? Hope you like curry. Well, we couldn't get Mr. Lee to tell his ghost story, so all he had to do is come on camera. Come on, Mr. Lee. Come on, camera. Chessboard says you can get a USB to USB-C adapter. Yeah, you can. I think I got one somewhere. I think I got one somewhere. Icon says, Mr. Lee, how goes it? Icon, where you been? Tried to get Mr. Lee to tell his ghost story, and he won't come on camera and do it. Mr. Lee says, Icon, no, girlfriend says I have the best looking bollocks in the whole of England. So, Mr. Lee, what do you think about the Eternus Empire plan to break up Great Britain and to make England its own kingdom again. Now, whether they listen to me, I don't know. You know, that kind of requires the people to step up. The people need to step up and say, hey, we don't recognize you assholes. You screwed everything up. We recognize the Eternus Empire. And His Imperial Majesty, Achaeos Salisbury, says that we are breaking up the United Kingdom because this is all a bunch of bullshit. And England is going to be its own individual kingdom, but as part of the empire. Lady says, what kind of combine are you getting, Icon? Uncle Blunt says, Icon, on your high left platform vid, I left you a message. Been listening in, had a lot to do before could rest my weekend this weekend. Can you tell the bees gave me a well up right on that lower eyelid? I was over there in a cloud of bees for quite a while, but when I was trying to put the bucket feeder on their stand, I couldn't get the bees out of the way, so I was kept, knocking them out of the way, and I was just and they kept landing on the bucket, and they kept landing on the tray, and anyway, I just had to go for it, and unfortunately, I pissed off a couple of bees, and they started tagging me, and one of them got me right on the lower eyelid. Yeah, you always be one as part of the Eternus Empire, Mr. Lee. Always be one as part of the Eternus Empire. But yeah, there's just we talked about a lot of that history and what went wrong, and Icon says, Mr. Lee, they all say that, otherwise we'll take off and find someone that does. Icon also says to Uncle Bones, be right back, have to look to see where it ended up. It's true, it's true. It'd be interesting to start seeing a lot of the DNA data coming in, but will the public have access to all this DNA? Because we were talking about how they're collecting all this DNA, all these DNA results, and so now they have this data on people. And do you want the government to have this DNA on you? But the good thing about it, because talk about the ancient kings of the Isles, and in a lot of places, the ones that should be the legit monarchs at this time, who were deposed by the invasions of these other people who changed the monarchies and put new kings in places where they shouldn't have been. Anyway, with adequate DNA data, we may be able to revive ancient royal houses. People that don't even know that they're descended from these kings could learn that they are, and then they can ask the question, because under the Eternus Empire, there's going to be some degree of recognition of that, but it's no guarantee that you get a throne, and your family is going to have to go through the process of proving your nobility. Breeding willy-nilly is not allowed for the nobility. It just isn't. So they got to understand that they're making sacrifices for the good of of the empire and the good of their kingdom and the good of their entire lands. And it's not just for their kingdoms, it's for all the other kingdoms that the noble blood is going to flow to and from. They have to engage in certain acts that like you can't just be an asshole like some of these kings have had. You just can't. You can't just sit around and be an asshole. You have to actually do good things for the world. And anyway, let that figure out what Bones is getting me. Uncle Bones' Lady Woods ordered this months ago is now shipping. Rick says England might just invade itself. Yeah. There should be an uprising. Mitch Lee says, Lockbeard, for example, Scottish folk don't like English people trespassing on their highlands. I respect. Yeah. And, and again, like there, because I talked about before the honest warring nature as opposed to the dishonest. Because right now, under the systems we have now, these governments come up with an excuse to go to war, which isn't the real reason they go to war. And then they dupe the people into going to these wars. And then they have all these atrocities in war, and it's out of control. Now humans have to war. I mean, this is one thing people have to understand. If you think humanity is ever going to completely just stop going to war with each other, you're in a fantasy world. This is necessary for humanity to exist, and it sucks. War sucks. Nobody wants to be in war, but the reality is, it's something that has to happen. It's in our breeding, it's in our DNA, and it's never going to go away. You can't. And if it did go away, it would end up with the extinction of our species. So you might as well tell the deer to stop growing antlers and running their heads into each other. That has a purpose. And it's way more complex than most people understand. That keeps the species strong. Humans don't have antlers. We don't run our heads into each other like that, but we do compete with each other. We do have to war with each other. I believe that being the intellectual creatures that we are, we can accept this nature of ourselves, embrace it, and go forward managing it in an intellectual and honest manner, instead of what our current elites are doing. They're not being stupid about what they're doing. They're not dumb. They know exactly what they're doing. They're just doing it dishonestly and for personal greedy means. That should go out. It shouldn't be for these shadow government type people, these rich people who benefit greatly from war, and don't tell people like the real reason why these wars are happening is for profit, for profit and power. And it's not because somebody legitimately, pissed someone off for some other reason. I mean, they'll tell you some other reason, but some buildings got crashed, right? Well, no, that didn't happen for the reason they said. That what we talked about before. The CIA arranged that so that they could arrange the war. So most of the people believe that we went to war because of that attack. What they don't know is our own government arranged that attack because they wanted to go over there and expand their control, make a lot of money. Some war profiteers got a bunch of money. I don't like it. It should be an honest situation where if two nations have a beef, and I don't care what the beef is, as long as they're just honest about why they're pissed at each other and they want to fight, okay, you fight. But you're both members of the empire. You're both member kingdoms of the empire. Hopefully they are, and you have to follow the rules. You cannot be using nukes. You cannot be. Your soldiers can't be going in there and taking their women. Go in there and fight like men. Don't be a bunch of douchebags. No chemical weapons. No biological weapons. Lots of rules of war that they should follow if they're going to go to war. But I mean, because people are like, are you mean to say that two kingdoms who are part of one empire would be allowed to war with each other? Yes, they should. It's necessary, and it's a good thing. But they need to follow the rules of war. And the only way you can have those rules of war be maintained and enforced is if they are, enforced by the empire. All the other nations look at it and say, look, you're like, they're building a nuke up in this bitch. That's not good for anybody. No nukes. It's a good sized machine. Ogabon says, "Old lady in the woods." Yes, I'm impressed. They got it on one boat. Did you watch Uncle Chuck's crowning? Betty was weeping all day. Mr. Lee says, Donald, yes, a bit of it. I had a good laugh. Camilla's crown was massive. Fucking bitch. Lady says, my former boyfriend had two combines that were cute as all giddy up. They're talking combines now. Donald says, this one's a stitch fest. We are both leaving each other difficult shots. Lady says that is what makes the game fun. Just versus LOCKBEARD. Did they take down yesterday's live? I went to watch it and it was gone. Yeah, that's why we're on the backup channel tonight. They slapped last night's live stream with a medical misinformation strike, and the channel is suspended for 2 weeks. Now, I've challenged it because I don't think there's medical misinformation in there. The quotes that I read from the PsyOps guy were verbally spoken by him on that podcast on YouTube. So it should not be a problem for me to read his quotes. The other article, Trudeau, I wasn't talking about what the jab is or does. I was talking about Trudeau. The article is about Trudeau lying about did he require the jabs? He's lying about that. He's saying he didn't, but we saw his quotes that he in fact he did. He people were required to under duress, losing their job and stuff like that. So yeah, they took it down. So hopefully, I've challenged it. I've appealed it. So hopefully they put it back up and they take that strike off. But probably shouldn't hold our breath. Well, these machines been 9,600 John Deere's. Icon says Uncle Bone's not yet, but there are things held for review. Folder like, it's too bad this equipment isn't still made today. It was left by Chris and D-Haven Farm. WTF? YouTube is retarded. So you don't have to wait. Lady says those are some nice machines. Or onboard moisture sensor. All right. Well, we've gotten way off the paranormal for a lot tonight, unfortunately. Um, without going and doing proper scientific investigation of the tower, we're not ever going to be able to show if anything is legit about the ghost in the Tower of London. So Donald says I lost that one, got one more chance. That's horrible. Hopefully you do better. Lady says, sorry, Lockbird, haven't ever seen a ghost. Yeah. A lot of people haven't. Don't know why. They're out there. I think in a lot of cases people seen one but didn't know they saw one. Like they might have seen a Bigfoot and thought it was a Bigfoot that cloaked, but in reality it was just a ghost of a Bigfoot that disappeared. Could be, you know, I'm not saying it definitely was in any cases, but could have been in a few cases. She's covered in breadcrumbs, it floats. Second sight runs in your family, but it comes when it wants to. Yeah. He ought to be able to train a lot of that stuff, but we're in a society that doesn't really take it seriously enough to really make a science of it. Mr. Lisa's Lockbird, you can show a YouTube clip of King Charles and Queen Camilla for laughs. Maybe sometime. I don't know. Maybe sometime. Did you see the vid? Bone Slap. Lenny Woods, Grass Seed Farm, Pixall Super Jack Corn Picker. All right, well, we're over 2 hours, and paranormal is run out on this one. So thanks everybody for hanging out, and see you next time.